Hi, and welcome to section 4 of the Sonic Pi introduction. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to change synthesizers, which will allow us to switch into a whole range of new and exciting sounds beyond the basic beep we've been using so far. So just to recap, we've learned the play command, which allows us to play a note, and we have to specify which note to play. And this number is the pitch, which means that higher numbers mean higher notes and low numbers mean lower notes. We then learnt our basic options. Now this is what we're going to be using today in today's lesson in a new way. So far we've learnt the options release, sustain and attack, which allow us to change the duration and the amplitude of the sound through time. And so let's look at that. We can specify our release. Notice that when we don't have the colon it's grey. Pop the colon on, now it's pink, great. We can change the release time of our note. That's for 3 seconds. And just to recap, we have a comma, we have the space, we have the name of the control, we have a colon, we have a space, and then we have its value, in this case 3. We're going to remember this because this is something we're going to use quite a bit today. So far, all those things have changed, the pitch and the duration, have been changing the basic beep sound. It's all been a beepy sound. But we can quickly switch into new synthesizers by learning one new code word, new function, and that's called use_synth. When we write that, all the play commands below it will use the synth we've specified. So just to show you what's happening, by default, Sonic Pi adds this command to all of your scripts so you don't have to write it, and it will always use the beep command. So that's exactly as if we hadn't written it. But of course now we can change this to any of the built-in synthesizers, and there's a whole bunch of them. Let's have a look. So we can see this list here. Let's find one that's fun, like chip lead. Now when I press the run button, it's going to switch to the chip lead synth, and then the play command is going to play the chip lead synthesizer and not the beep sound. Cool. So now we can change this to something else. Let's try the piano sound. Or we can try the D-saw sound. So we have a whole range of sounds to play with, and there's a big list that you can go through. And we can switch around and change to whichever sound we want. Okay, so far we've learnt now how to change the pitch, how to change the duration, and how to switch to synthesizers. But the exciting part is every single synthesizer inside Sonic Pi has its own unique set of options. They all support the attack, sustain, release options. That's standard across all of the synthesizers. But each synthesizer has its own set as well. And we can discover what they are by popping open the help section, navigating to the Synths tab, and then seeing our list of synths here. So let's find the D-saw synth. But we can see that there is quite a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different options for this particular synthesizer. We can see our old friend sustain and release there, so they're also listed, and we can see that the default for sustain is 0, and the default for the release is 1. Great, we knew that already, but that's nice to have that acknowledged. But we can also start to see new options that we haven't seen before, like amp. What is that? Well, that's the amplitude of the sound. So by default, that's amplitude 1. But we can make it 3 times as loud. Or we can make it super quiet. So we have that to change our sound. But also we have this cool one called cutoff. Now, if we remember from the earlier sections, we can click on the name of this option and it'll jump us straight away to a description that we can read to understand a bit more about what that option does. So this one is a MIDI note representing the highest frequencies allowed to be present in the sound. So a low value like 30 makes the sound round and dull, and a high value like 100 makes the sound buzzy and crispy. So let's give that a try. Cut off, colon, 30. That is, it sounds dull and round. And let's try 100. It's definitely more crispy. What about 120? Even more crispy. Let's go to 140. Oh, an error. So this is actually expected. So Sonic Pi's options allow you to change their values to be a whole range of different things. And some of those options make the synthesizer sound really terrible or just plainly don't work. So in those cases, Sonic Pi will give you a friendly warning and say, look, I'm sorry, but the value of the opt cutoff must be a value less than 131, and I got 140. And it tells you here with this pink arrow, this is the line where the problem was, so we can see that this is our issue here. We've specified 140, and actually the max value we can use is 131. So this means we're totally free to experiment and to try whichever values we want. We don't need to know what this number means yet, although it has said here, it's given a hint that it's a MIDI note, so if that means something to you, great. If it doesn't, we will learn what that means later on. But this is just a number we can change, and we can be free to change it to whatever value we want. And if it's outside of the range of allowed values or values that work, then Sonic Pi will give us a warning and let us know why it's not quite the right value and what we can do to fix it. So let's quickly fix it. Let's go to 130. That's definitely below 131. And then we can hear that now. Super crispy. So now we can start to experiment with different options. We've got our options we looked at before, which change the duration, but we've got these new options which are based off of the ones for each individual synthesizer. So let's play with another one. Let's try, let's find another synthesizer to play with. What can we go for? How about TB303? Let's try that. So we can see here that this is the code to use in order to specify that. So let's change that to TB303. Notice also that the name of the synthesizer has the colon at the beginning. So it's still pink, there's still a colon present, but for names of synthesizers, then the colon is at the beginning, and for names of options, the colon is at the end. This is just something to learn. You'll get used to it. It's a bit tricky to start off with, but it's a result of the fact we're using the Ruby programming language to do this, and that's one of its constraints. So we can now play this sound. How about changing the release time to a shorter value? How about changing the note to a lower note? How about changing the cutoff to 70? That's pretty fun. And then let's look at this. Oh wow, this has got lots and lots of different options to play with. So this is a really powerful and expressive synthesizer. So let's look at, what should we play with? I think Res is a really good one. So let's change that to 0.99. We can start to see by changing these values, we can explore the range of sounds that the synthesizer is capable of creating. And we have a lot of options here, a lot of synthesizers to play with. So just go around, try the different synthesizers, try the different options, see what happens, and you can make this to be a really long list of options if you want to, or a really short list of options if you want to have a short list. And then when you find a combination of a synthesizer and a play command with the right options that sounds great, then save that code. Cut and paste it to a text document, press the save button, put the file name, save it to a location. Because when we start to later on create our own compositions, you'll want to come back to the sounds you found that you liked, be able to use those directly in our compositions. And because we can save the text of our code, even if it's just 2 lines, we're able to remember and recall precisely what we found fun and interesting. So have an experiment, play around, save the sounds we like, and then later on we're going to use those in our compositions. Have fun.